This video isn't about boats, it's really about people. But boats bring people together, and without people, boats are nothing. So it's a sort of symbiosis really, but it's the people I want to talk about today. This charity that I'm about to be working with is dealing with ex-service people who've been traumatised, knocked about badly, and who've almost, in some cases, lost the will to live. They're completely derailed by the awful things that have happened to them. And Turn to Starboard has 4 or 5 boats. They've got some ordinary fiberglass boats, the sort that you'll see in any old sailing school. And they also have this rather magnificent vessel, which is a dead replica of a 19th century Liverpool pilot schooner. It's quite a charismatic vessel actually, and as I understand it, the atmosphere on here is absolutely remarkable. These people, who life has absolutely thrown the worst it's got at, seem to come together on here, and they work together as a family. The transformation that I hear can take place is remarkable. I don't know how they do it, but I'm going to go and find out. I had a great day on board the Spirit of Falmouth, helping with a few jobs and having a yarn with the skipper and crew. I didn't really know what to expect, but as the day went along, I really got the picture. Turn to Starboard is a charity set up to help people who've come out of the armed services and are not finding life easy. It gives them a chance to go sailing and be part of a team again. But what's even more impressive is their willingness to share something of these remarkable stories with me.
I was an army officer for 16 years, and then I left the army and went to work for the United Nations, and my area was emergency responses in the area of explosive hazards, so landmines, IEDs, and I did 10 years in very high conflict countries like Syria, Libya and Afghanistan.
I exit the forces and didn't have had a series of bereavements, and I didn't do very well. I didn't use the right solutions. I took the wrong path, and I went mad. I went crazy.
There came a point where basically PTSD meant that I couldn't work anymore. My head wasn't able to cope with it. That was kind of a combination of stuff that happened during military service and then exacerbated by the UN. So I'd been out of the UK for 15 years, and I came back after a bit of a spell in a psychiatric hospital.
I'm a former Royal Marine. I was a Marine for nearly 12 years, and unfortunately I got injured quite badly and had to leave service under medical discharge. And with that, it hit me quite hard, and I didn't realise how much it had. And over like a 7-year period, I sort of went further and further downhill to like the last parts, really isolating myself and not being the best person to me as I could be, or anyone else around me, to be honest. I was really poorly, physically poorly, but mental illness. So I ended up in combat stress for a long time, and then isolated in a flat and not wanting to come out.
I was looking around for things to do, and it was suggested to me by Op Courage, which is one of the kind of NHS schemes, to look at Turn to Starboard.
It was a very good friend of mine who was an ex-Marine, but it was his wife that, give me the write down what you got to do. You need to shake yourself up a bit. And she worked for the Royal Marines charity called the City Group back then. And she'd heard about this charity that had started. It was in its infancy. And she said, you like the water, let's get you down there. So long story short, really, they convinced me to come down. So I drove down, and I nearly left a few times. So I threw my car keys out the window. So I had to get out of the car. And I got out of the car and I walked up into the office, and Sean was there, and Tamsin, who was the operations officer at the time. And walking through the door, it was the best thing I ever did. because as soon as I walked in, I felt like I was home, and it was great. It was just greeted, and I came down and I visited, and then I stayed on here to just literally stay overnight, and I slept in a bunk just down there. And I remember being like, whoa, this 92-foot gaff rig. I thought it was the biggest thing I'd ever seen, you know, and lovely, like it is, like you've seen it. And I never went back to that flat, and I stayed down here, and here we are 10 years on.
I've seen people who, male, female, have come here. Sort of anxiety levels might be high, self-confidence can be low, or they just need a change of scenery. So you can jump onto one of our boats, and if you just want to watch the world go by, and as you know, being out on the water, the environment is completely different. Everything you see from a different perspective. And that tends to get people thinking about something else, which may be all they require. You can see people's body language change. You're seeing somebody go forward and sit on the foredeck, and they just look over the horizon, or they look at the coastline, and you can just see their body language sort of relax and change, and their minds, somewhere else.
Sometimes I get complacent and I get tired, and I might start to take things for granted. I just got to remember, hang on, look about you, and remember where you're to and what you're doing. That you're like one of the luckiest people in the whole world. No doubt about it. I know I'm really lucky.
The being outside, the sense of routine, knowing that exercising would really tire me out, so that would help with settling down sleep, and also just wanting to be part of a team and part of something again. And I instantly, that was instant with Turn to Starboard. I mean, absolutely instant. I just realised what an impact sailing had on me in terms of the water, the way the wind is forced into your lungs, just that very kind of calming and grounding activity.
No one's written a rule book of how we are to behave, but we are expected to remember how the ethics and principles that we was taught in training, and the way to be.
So nobody shouts at you?
Nobody shouts at us, Tom. It's like a family. It's like a family, and everyone looks out for each other.
We want people to feel safe and comfortable with us. So, people think, oh, you're in the military, you did a lot of shouting. No, that's a bit of a myth. It may be in a training environment, but actually, no, we don't want to do any shouting. We're the same on the boat. It's not a shouty boat. We want people to feel a part of the crew, or a belonging. Which is important. That's a military sort of ethos, a belonging, and we have the same thing on the boat. But above all, it's got to be fun, safe, but we want everybody to feel comfortable and have fun.
I learned to sail on Spirit, and so I started in the chain locker right down there, flaking the chain, and doing a little bit of deckhand stuff. And I didn't even know how to do a tidal curve or anything. I learned how to do a tidal curve in that pilot house there. So and when I started thinking, oh right, okay, the tide comes in, it goes out, and it's this time, and you've got this water above that. I found it fascinating, and like I'm massively dyslexic, but I sort of get sailing.
So through the charity, I then did my Yachtmaster, which had its difficulties because myself managing the PTSD and some of the things that I find difficult and that are triggers did make it quite challenging. But I got my Yachtmaster, and then I guess like a lot of people who get involved with the charity, we're so grateful that we want to find ways to be able to give back.
For some people, it's about learning a new skill, but it might not just be the skill, it might be the aspect of actually, no, I can still learn something, I can still develop a new skill. This would be sailing, but then go, no, actually, I can learn a new skill, so I can go and learn that other element or job or develop my career that I want to. It's having that ability or that realization that they can still learn and develop.
Does some of them go on to make careers on the water?
They do, absolutely, and we've got many individuals who have done exactly that. exactly that. So not necessarily skippering, but it's taking them into the maritime industry. Whether that be, I can think of people now who are working on offshore vessels, on cruise liners, on coasters, on super yachts, and as RY instructors themselves.
When people come, we embrace them. Whatever they want to do, if they want to do courses, they can max out all the way up to YM 200 tons. And I think they're going to be doing cruising instructor next time. So there's lots of tickets to do. There's going to be opportunities for Ocean Yacht Master talking about, which for me, that's something I really want to do. I want to get away from using the plotter and the radar. I'd like to do celestial navigation. It's my dream. There is no rush. There's no timetable. There's always the possibility that if you want to move up and you want to do good, the permanent staff here have got their eyeball out for you.
All the way together. Well, the old man had one on the Brilliant, didn't he? Yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah. I'm glad we've got them sometimes. I've had to fly up there to undo that in some.
I see in pictures, and sailing's a picture, right? And it's painted everywhere, so it's got to be a picture. And I just found it really tactile and really easy to do, I suppose. Yeah, and I just wanted more. I just got hungry because I thought I was no good to anyone. I felt useless. I wasn't a marine anymore. Where that's all I'd ever done since I was 16. All I ever wanted to do since I was 5, and then couldn't. And then I found my place again, and I found my tribe, and that's the big thing. I think we all need our tribe. That's what we found here.
One of the big things that the charity offers by bringing people together is the benefit that an individual can get from sharing experiences. And when you've all been through similar kind of reasons might be different, but the mental health struggles and the things that have happened will often have a lot of things underlying kind of the same, those experiences. Being able to share those and have conversations about them, it's very reducing in shame and it normalises them, and I think really helps people move forwards.
Turn Starboard's always been massively open to anyone, any veteran coming in, male, female. And historically, we've only managed to get like 5% females to come down, because what do you see? I'll put it back to you. What do you see when someone says sailor to you? You see that, that male out at sea just doing what he does, and and the burly guys pulling the ropes. That's what you see when you see sailor. But then when you really look at it, look at people like Ella MacArthur, and there's loads of people involved in sailing. And what we've been doing over the last few years is we've had more and more female sailors come through, and got their own issues, but so have the lads as well, because we're very, very deeply involved within the military operations that we're going. And you've met Sarah; she's quite high up, deeply involved in what was going on abroad, like many of our female veterans.
A lot of veteran organisations and charities, when men get together, they want to recreate the kind of camaraderie that they had when they were in the services. But for women, that potentially is triggering, because there's still an endemic problem in the military with harassment and military sexual trauma. And so for some women, that's not safe to be that environment. And I know 100% that this charity is a very safe environment. But to get women kind of in to be able to see that that's the case, that's why we've started running these all-women sailing weeks. So we bring them in, so they know. So I skipper, we bring them in, we do a week. They get to meet all the other skippers. They realise how safe the charity is and what a dysfunctional family we are. And then they feel like they can go elsewhere. Over
the last few years, we've extended our reach so much to all our girls and ladies that are coming in. We work with the WRAC, which is the Women's Royal Army Corps. So before everyone was intermingled, it was just the Women's Army Corps. And they were together. So we get people, and they're in the senior years that come down. We have such fun. Take 3 boats out or out on Spirit.
We pride ourselves on inclusivity, and also we say that we will never turn anyone away if they'd like to come sailing. We will, as far as possible, find ways to get someone, whatever their physical disability might be or their problems, we will work to find a workaround. So we're very proud of the fact that we are that inclusive, and we are very kind of proactive in saying, okay, let's find a solution to make sure we get as many people as possible sailing.
it's the reward, satisfaction. You see people smiling. You see people. You can see a visible change in people, and that's as an organisation, that's what we're about.
So to keep the weight out of the deck, which is what you want.
It's about finding your tribe, because we are a tribe, and the tribe is full of everyone. You know, the mothers, sisters, daughters, brothers, fathers. That doesn't matter. It's a family unit, and it is quite tribal down here. We are quite a family. We're all massive huggers, and that's who we are. But everyone is welcome down here. Everyone fits down here. There's a place for everyone, and they're supported by each other.
What an unusual crowd of men and women. After the shocking trauma many of them have been through, I'm frankly astonished at the inner resilience they've discovered and the way sailing and being part of a team again has steadied their paths for the future. I found being in the crew today to be, frankly, humbling, and I was quietly delighted to be asked to become a patron of Turn to Starboard. Anyone who meets these people can't but admire what they're doing. So here we are. And they're always on the lookout for volunteers and especially new members. So why not give them a call? Maybe you'll find your own tribe.